discovering how red meat and dairy connect to cancer risk. People who eat lots of red meat and dairy products seem to get cancer more often than others. But they never knew exactly why this happened. Now researchers have found the missing piece of the puzzle. This breakthrough research comes from an international team of scientists. They worked together from Israel, France, Italy, and the United States. The team was led by Dr. Padler-Karavani from Tel Aviv University in Israel. She works at the Department of Cell Research and Immunology. The results of their work were published in BMC Medicine in September 2020. The key to understanding this connection lies in a special sugar molecule. Scientists call it Neu5Gc, which is short for N-glycolyl-neuraminic acid. This sugar is found in all mammals like cows, pigs, and sheep. But here's the interesting part. Humans cannot make this sugar in their bodies. We lost the ability to produce it during our evolution millions of years ago. So where does this sugar come from in our bodies? It comes from the food we eat. When we eat red meat like beef, pork, or lamb, we consume this Neu5Gc sugar. The same thing happens when we eat dairy products from cows or sheep. Our bodies then take this foreign sugar and put it into our own cells. It becomes part of our cell surfaces, even though it doesn't belong there. You won't find this sugar in chicken or fish. That's because birds and fish don't have the same type of Neu5Gc that mammals do. This explains why eating chicken and fish doesn't seem to increase cancer risk the same way red meat does. But here's where things get interesting. Wait, there is more, but do not forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Our immune system recognizes that this Neu5Gc sugar doesn't belong in our bodies. So it makes antibodies to fight against it. These are special proteins that our immune system creates to attack things it sees as foreign or dangerous. We start making these antibodies when we're babies, as soon as we first taste dairy or meat products. Scientists already knew that people with more of these anti-Neu5Gc antibodies had higher rates of cancer, especially colorectal cancer. But they couldn't prove that eating more meat and dairy caused more antibodies to form. This research finally made that connection clear. To prove this connection, the researchers needed to look at real people and their eating habits. They used data from a huge nutrition survey in France called Nutrinet Santé. This survey followed the eating habits of thousands of French adults. The people in the survey wrote down everything they ate and drank for several days. They did this online, making detailed records of their meals. The research team looked at the eating habits of 19,621 adults who were 18 years old or older. These people had reported all their food intake online over several days. The researchers then calculated how much Neu5Gc sugar each person consumed daily from red meat and dairy products. But the researchers didn't stop there. They took a smaller group of 120 people from this large survey. These people had submitted an average of 21 separate daily food records each. The researchers then tested the blood of these 120 people to measure their anti-Neu5Gc antibodies. What they found was remarkable. People who ate more Neu5Gc from red meat and dairy had more antibodies in their blood. The connection was clear and strong. Men consumed more Neu5Gc than women, mostly from red meat. And men showed higher levels of these antibodies in their blood. Men had 3.94 nanograms per microliter of these antibodies, while women had 2.22 nanograms per microliter. The research team used advanced technology to study these antibodies. They created something called a glycan microarray. This is like a tiny laboratory chip that can test for 56 different types of sugar molecules at once. They could see exactly which antibodies each person had and how much of each type. The results showed that people eating high amounts of Neu5Gc developed more diverse antibody responses. Their immune systems created different types of antibodies to fight the foreign sugar. But the strength of each individual antibody didn't change, just the number and variety. Based on all this information, the researchers created something new. They developed what they call the glycemic index. This works like the glycemic index that people use for blood sugar. But instead, it ranks foods based on how much they might increase these cancer-promoting antibodies. Some foods rank low on the glycemic index. Mozzarella cheese and cow's milk are examples of lower-risk dairy products. But other foods rank much higher. Roquefort cheese, sheep feta cheese, and sheep yogurt all have high amounts of Neu5Gc sugar. Red meats generally rank high on this index too. This discovery helps explain something that has puzzled scientists for years. They knew that red meat increased cancer risk. But they also knew that chicken and fish contain some of the same potentially harmful compounds. These include things like heme iron, nitrates, and compounds that form when meat is cooked at high temperatures. So why didn't chicken and fish increase cancer risk the same way? The answer is Neu5Gc. This sugar is only found in mammals, not in birds or fish. So, eating chicken or fish doesn't trigger the same antibody response that leads to chronic inflammation and cancer. The type of cancer most strongly linked to this process is colorectal cancer. This affects the colon and rectum, parts of the large intestine. The research shows that the antibodies created against Neu5Gc can promote inflammation in these tissues. Over time, this chronic inflammation can lead to cancer development. This discovery is important because it gives us a clear, scientific explanation for something doctors have observed for decades. It's similar to how we learned that high cholesterol increases heart disease risk. Now we have a molecular explanation for how red meat and dairy consumption increases cancer risk. The research also opens up new possibilities for prevention and treatment. If we understand how these antibodies work, we might be able to develop new ways to prevent cancer. We might also be able to use these antibodies as markers to identify people at higher risk. For now, this research suggests that people who want to reduce their cancer risk should consider limiting red meat and high Neu5Gc dairy products. But it doesn't mean people need to avoid all animal products. Chicken, fish, and low Neu5Gc dairy products like mozzarella might be safer choices. This groundbreaking research represents years of careful work by scientists around the world. It shows how modern technology can help us understand complex connections between diet and disease. Most importantly, it gives us new tools to protect our health through the food choices we make every day. Do not forget to click the like button and subscribe. On the screen, you see an essential video for you. Thanks very much for watching this video. References are in the comments section. See you in the next video.